time to go.
Paimon's trying to remember. What else did we put on our shopping list? Oh, what a mouth-watering smell. Paimon would know the aroma of biryani anywhere. Let's go get some. We can still add it to the...
Well, if it isn't the Traveler and Paimon. Wasn't expecting to see you here.
Hello there. Oh, it's been quite
Huh, so you two are still hanging out together. Dehya, didn't you say last time that you were gonna head back to the desert?
I said I was going to resign from being her bodyguard, not that our friendship was over. We're still the best of friends. The Homayanis also still post jobs from time to time. Their pay is always generous, so me and the other mercs never pass them up.
I told Dehya to just stay at our place when she took one of those jobs a few days ago. My parents were delighted. They even said that it always felt like we were missing someone whenever Dehya was...
That sounds like something they would say, all right. They're always so welcoming. Anyway, the job is already taken care of, so I was gonna head back to the brigade as soon as I finished a little shopping. But the master kept insisting, and I ended up staying for another day.
You can stay for as many days as you want, Dehya. Father hasn't even gotten around to treating you to his best dishes yet.
You know I'm not the kind of person to stay put in one place like that, my lady. Don't worry, though.
What? She said they'll treat you to the best...
But wait. Didn't you say last time that you would take me on a trip to the desert? Why don't you just take... There are so many places I still...
I'm sorry, my lady, but no can do. There's still a few things I need to take care of back at the brigade. Besides, the desert hasn't exactly been the most peaceful place.
Oh, come on. Not this again. That's also what you said last time and the time before that.
I know, I'm sorry. Just give me some more time, and I promise I'll plan the best trip.
All right, fine. To be perfectly honest, it's not that I wanted to go, it's more like... I feel like ever since you first set foot on the estate a few days ago, have you been delaying our trip because you've run into some kind of trouble?
Nah, are you kidding? You're worrying too much.
Would you swear on that? Friends shouldn't lie to each other, you know. I wouldn't pry any further if you're willing, but if something really is bothering you, then...
Oh, looks like Junior's ad was on to...
You're too perceptive, my lady. Seems I can't hide anything. I just thought that nothing good could come out of telling you about the messy happenings of mercenaries. Knowing too much only leads to more trouble. Mercenary life is a dog-eat-dog world where Mora reigns supreme. Everything operates on a completely different set of rules.
That doesn't change anything about what I just said, though. We're still friends, and I can only...
My lady... You're not gonna stop until you drag it out of me, are ya? All right, I'll share what I know. Let's go somewhere else first. This isn't exactly the best place for... Okay, let's talk here. Just try not to draw any extra attention. As you may already know, the Eremites have both a lot of mercenaries and a complex organizational structure. Many mercs are no different than me, just going around looking for jobs to earn some mora. My brigade is called the Blazing Beasts. We're not a large group, but every member is loyal. However, not all Eremite brigades are like mine. Some are willing to cross all kinds of lines for the sake of mora. The most notorious is a faction known as Deshret's.
Deshret's relics? Judging from the name, they must really look up to...
Yep, you got it. I've heard that you've already crossed paths with Ain al-Akmar. They're one of the groups under the Relic's banner.
Oh, you mean the group that tried to sell us the Divine Knowledge Capsule? Yeah, they...
Deshret's Relics is composed of many smaller brigades like Ain al-Akmar. The Relic's headquarters issues orders to all brigades under his control. On any other day, I would want nothing to do with them. Unfortunately, though, the brigade that's stirring up trouble now is none other than Dehya al-Akmar.
Dakan?
I think it means beard or something. Believe me, it's a really stupid name. I found it insufferable for years. Anyway, the real issue is that Dehya al-Akmar is led by my father, Kusela.
Say what now?
I think I'm starting to understand your anxiety now.
I won't go into details, my lady, but they've been involved in a lot of violent...
Hundreds?
Yep. The scenes tend to be quite gruesome, too. They strip the victims of all their value. Not only have they targeted merchant caravans and ordinary citizens, but other
That's beyond terrible.
I don't know how Deshret's relic sees it. All I do know is that Dakan al-Akmar has become more and more... If I don't do something about them, then even my brigade or the people of Aru village could become their next... I just wish I knew what's driven him to do this.
Yeah. How can you...
I don't know. People change. He's always been pretty pathetic. But at least in the past, there were still a few lines that he wouldn't cross.
That's setting the bar pretty low.
I mean, if he was even remotely decent, then why would I have to leave the brigade and cut all ties with him? He was loud and foolish, with no real sense of purpose. Instead of doing anything useful, he spent most of his time drinking and chasing after women. Of course, the other brigade members were just like him. Their ruckus would go on night after night.
Sounds like a night.
What about your mother?
Unfortunately, I never... It's all right, my lady. That's pretty common in mercenary circles. Didn't I mention that my father was chasing after women? I was the result of one of those encounters with some random person. He told me that he wasn't sure who my mother was. And in any case, she never came. He'd say, "You'll be fine as long as you remember to stick with Dad." But even then, he left most of the parenting to the brigade. The one thing I do remember is... But the problem was that he had terrible taste. He only knew a few stories. They were tales of desert warriors defeating dragons in the forest, or stories...
Sounds like your typical fairy tales.
More or less, yeah. They were interesting maybe the first or second time around, but after about 20 repeats, they started to get a little... He seemed to think those stories were the best things ever, though. He was so into them that he'd call the whole brigade over and make them perform the whole... Even the toys he gave me would all be story props. I'd get helmets, sheep... It was only much later when I realized that the shows were more for him than they ever were for me.
What an interesting guy.
Yeah, I've always found him pretty childish, but that was something I could just shrug off. I had no... Until I grew up and learned the true face of Deshret's relics for myself. Looting, blackmail, violence, and fraud. They not only accepted such heinous acts, they would even openly... No one in the brigade was any kind of hero. Instead, my father and his cronies... Did they really think that as long as they didn't do any of that stuff right in front of me, I would never know?
I think I can understand your feelings. The difference between perception and reality.
Yeah, but don't worry, my lady. It's all water under the bridge to me now. I had a huge argument with my father and left that place. I'm not investigating them due to any bitter feelings I still have towards my father. I just want to protect those that are close to me. Yeah, I told the boys to gather as much information as they could. Most of the reports concern violent incidents.
I see.
It is, but every mercenary lives life on the edge. It's a lifestyle that
That may be true, but it'll be impossible for those who care about you not...
Well, now you get why I didn't want to share any of this with you.
What should we do? They both have valid...
Huh? But there's no need for you to get caught up in this mess.
Well, she's super tough, so if she went into the desert with you, then Paimon...
I'm inclined to agree. I'd feel a lot more at ease if you took her along to help. I'll wait for news from you in the city until then.
I'm honored that you care so... All right, then let's get moving. Our first stop will be
Hey, Dehya, you're back. Are these two friends of yours? Likewise. There's no need to be so formal with us. We're pretty... Anyway, since we've got a newcomer, let me fill you in on what the Khanal. They've become extremely aggressive. Apparently, even their own now have become acceptable targets. They even attack other relics brigades, just the same as any other mercenary.
Even the most ferocious beasts still protect their own. But it sounds like they've thrown that straight to the wind.
That's right. Once they've collected enough loot off the other mercenaries, they sell it off to a different brigade, or turn to merchants on the black market. A portion of their profits is immediately exchanged for more food and weaponry to be used in their next violent operation.
That's terrible!
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder why they're so desperate for more. A few days ago, Isham and I trailed them for a while, and even disguised ourselves as merchants to conduct trade with them. We were able to learn a few things from the exchange. Rather than saying they're out to plunder and hoard Mora, it'd probably be more accurate to say that they're experiencing an internal power struggle.
Wait, a power?
You heard me right. The vast majority of their victims are mercenaries from the other brigades of Deshret's relic. If their only goal was Mora, they could have gone after anybody. The targeted nature of their attacks points to a power struggle between the different brigades within the relics. That's the only plausible Unfortunately, we weren't able to find out anything more specific. Oh, one last thing we discovered was that over the past few years, as the Khan al-Ahmar became more and more active, Deshret's relics as a whole became a lot weaker.
It sounds mighty strange to me, too. Harun, you can leave the rest of the investigation. Gotta say, though, I didn't expect you to go on a whole undercover mission during the few days I was gone. Sounds like you were...
Nah, it was nothing. We're just as concerned about the situation as you.
What he said. Besides, Dehya, haven't you done more dangerous things than all of us combined? What we did is nothing compared.
Yeah. And while they went to talk with Dakan al-Akmar, any survivors of the attack were already long gone. There was nothing.
Ah, Hisham and Khalaf. You're here to...
We rushed over as soon as we saw you come into Caravan Ribat. Although this new friend of yours looks a little green behind the ears, I'm sensing a special vibe from her. Now that we know you'll have a capable partner with you, we can also rest easy.
Hey, what about Paimon?
Oh, you're also...
Of course! Paimon is the Traveler's most...
Oh, in that case...
No,
Don't worry about her. She may look tiny and helpless, but she's been through just as many battles as the... Even if she had only survived on sheer luck, then that alone would still make her quite formidable.
I had no idea. I guess I shouldn't...
Oh, one other thing, Dehya. When you're free, why don't you update the deputy about your upcoming schedule? We held another recruitment event a few days ago, but everyone only came to see the Flame Main. You weren't around at the time, so people were pretty disappointed to only find our crew of rough, unkempt guys. The deputy put a lot of effort into the event, but it was basically for nothing. Only a...
Sorry to hear that. I'll be sure to bring him some great liquor next time. I left in a hurry and I couldn't make it back in time.
Gotta admit, I can understand their disappointment, though. Now, if only the deputy could figure out a way to bring a few more...
Keep dreaming. Remember the last time I invited a couple gals into the brigade? You all just froze up with your mouths gaping, like a bunch of scarecrows. The awkward silence and weird expressions left quite the impression on them. They were originally interested in...
Hey, didn't we agree to never bring that up again?
Huh? Wait, are you serious? Why have I never heard about this?
I don't think you were part of the brigade yet.
Are you kidding me? I missed a once-in-a-lifetime moment like that, and you weren't...
All right. We can tell you about it later.
Hey, don't you try to change the subject. You and Hisham get your butts over here and tell me everything right now.
are they always like this?
More. There aren't many rules or graces when it comes to mercenaries. If someone starts getting under your skin, you just yell right back at them. And if that doesn't put an end to it, then you just challenge them. But we also don't tend to take many things too seriously. Being direct and getting it all out of your system as soon as things come up is better than keeping everything bottled up. That's also why I never spare their feelings when I talk to them. If I want to laugh, I'll laugh. If I'm angry, then I'll unload on them. It's hard to stop once you get used to it. Though, I can never... Hey, knuckleheads! Can you at least tell me the rest of the intel before you go back to your bickering?
Yeah, you hear her, Holloff? Told you we gotta focus on the investigation first. I drew up a map. Right here is the spot. There you'll find the merchant caravan responsible. All you gotta do is wait and ambush them in the evening.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Be sure to pass my regards to everyone else.
Will do. You stay...
This should be the place. Let's find a spot to hide. It's gonna come down to a fight one way or another, so let's all be careful.
No need to worry. She knows.
I'm not worried about that. What I meant is that we probably shouldn't go too hard on the enemy after... Ah, here they come. You ready? Let's not give them a chance to react. Let's get it on!
Feeling lucky today?
Wind strike! Gotcha!
You're the Flame Mane.
Good. That saves me an introduction. All right, time for a little talk. Are you buddies with Dekana?
You know the code of being a mercenary just like everyone else. The first rule is to never divulge key information about our employer. What makes you think...
That might have worked on an amateur, but I know you're just looking to protect your reputation. Think about it, though. What's your reputation worth if you won't have the other tools you need to succeed in this line of work? Tools, you've got 5 seconds. You might want to think twice about how much your employer's information...
Whoa!
I'm not joking around. We can do this the easy way or the painful way. 2 seconds!
I'll save you the trouble.
Huh? Are you crazy? He tried to bite off his own tongue. Quick, search the... I definitely didn't expect him to go that far. Thankfully, the wound wasn't too deep, and he just passed out from the pain.
What?
I just wanted to test his mettle. You can get a lot of mercenaries to talk just by threatening them. I didn't expect him to be willing to go through so much pain just to deny us some intel.
Well, he's out cold for now. We could wait for him to wake up, but maybe it's not a good idea.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll be a waste of time to interrogate him again after that. He might just hurt him. There are lots of goods around here.
We found a piece of paper with a bunch of names on it. Maybe...
Let me take a look. If this really is a merchant caravan, they... Yep. I see an entry for Dekana Lakmar right here. Kusela, Idrisi, Bashar, and all familiar names. Dekana Lakmar has been trading for a hefty This caravan is just one link in their logistics chain. Once in the rainforest, the caravan will exchange the looted goods for Mora, and the funds will... That person will then pack the caravan full of necessary goods, which will then be... Wait, why is there no Mora value recorded for the final...
No?
Yeah. Every transaction before the last one was marked with an exact amount of Mora, but the final one, where they paid for everything to be brought back to the desert, was simply marked as delivered. Perhaps. But they couldn't have known how much they would make off selling the loot. Do they not care about profit margins at all? Anyway, the next part's the records of the goods themselves. There are a lot of entries. Everything was probably sourced from the rainforest. Huh?
What's wrong?
Shazamon Homayani?
Homayani? You mean, could it just be another family with the same last name?
I'd be surprised to find someone with the exact same first and last name. Shahzaman Homayani is Dunyarzad's father. Just what the heck is going on here? I'm sorry, you're right. But what this piece of paper confirms is that the Homayani family has been providing goods to Dakhan al-Akmar.
What if the Homayanis have been kept in the dark and don't know they've been trading with Dakhan?
That's a possibility. But if that was the case, why is this caravan specific? They could have just as easily bought goods such as food and medicine directly from Caravan Ribat or Port Ormos. Yeah, funding violence and looting. The brigade gets the goods, and he is paid the proceeds from the sale of...
But why would he do something like this? It's not...
I honestly have no... I've been to their estate many times, and I've never noticed any... The only potentially large expenditure I could think of would be the treatment costs for Dunyarzad's Elazar. But that's still just a speculation. I don't think the Master would stoop so low to make Mora. You're probably right. I know my lady's personality, and she wouldn't deliberately keep something...
What should we do now? All we found is just another...
If you ask me, we already have no... I'm not worried. It's too early to make a verdict yet. Let's go find my lady again. We'll tell her If we're lucky, we can not only figure out the...
Dehya, are you sure this is the best decision?
I've considered that possibility. But even still, I want to tell her what we found. She showed genuine concern for me when we first brought up the topic. I can't... That's not how I deal with people.
You're right. Paimon wants to trust...
Yeah. We're back, my lady.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected. You mustn't have run into any trouble.
Actually, we're still investigating.
I see. The clues you found...
Something like that.
You all look a little dispirited. Why don't you discuss it with me?
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about me being upset with my father or anything like that.
So something is wrong. On any other day, Paimon would have already waved to me with a...
My lady, please prepare yourself for what we're going to tell you next.
The Master. Okay, I understand. My father has been supplying...
Yeah, it makes as little sense to us as it does to you. I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so I'm having a real hard time rationalizing how he could ever support an infamous brigade like them. Maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled into the deal by accident.
I can't help but agree with the Traveler.
Huh? You mean you feel the same way, Dunya?
Thank you for sharing all this information with me. Since you've told me everything you know, I should also tell you about some... In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me so that I wouldn't run away and get lost. However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of 30. Why did my father go out of his way to hire Dehya?
About that. Well, the Homayanis really needed bodyguards, so they reached out to the Blazing Beasts. Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best mercenaries he'd ever seen, and that I should stick around to become one of his bodyguards. He offered me a pile of Mora, so I'd...
Well, but that didn't really answer my question. Just think about it.
Maybe the Corps of 30 just didn't have anyone available, or maybe someone recommended us. I've never given it too much thought. I think I get what you're saying. you'd think none of this was a coincidence.
Precisely. At first glance, nothing seems strange or out of place. But there are many parts of the story that if my father had always been in contact with the Khan al-Akmar...
You mean the goal all along was to get Dehya to be your bodyguard?
No, that's too much of a stretch. I cut all ties with my father a long time ago. He has no control over my life anymore.
But that still doesn't rule out the possibility that your father has still...
So, the Master was not likely an innocent victim in all of this?
Sorry we put all this on you so suddenly, Dunyarzad.
It's okay, Paimon. I should actually be, regardless of his reasons, if my father has truly been funding a violent group of...
But is that really the right thing to do? My father has committed many atrocities and deserves all the punishment that he has coming to him. I have zero sympathy for him. You may call me an ungrateful child, but my feelings will remain the same. However, the Homayani family has treated me with nothing but generosity. If we decide to investigate this further, we could end up implicating the entire Homayani family. I would be biting the hand that's fed me over all these years.
Dehya.
It's all right, Dehya. If anyone were to ask, you could always just say that I'm the one who instructed you to get to the bottom of this.
You don't have to do that, my lady. I'm not conflicted because I'm afraid of taking responsibility. Besides, you're the one we should all be worried about.
Hey, it's still too early to give up hope. What was that thing about friendship again? Right, yeah, trust. You said that yourself, Dehya. Besides, there's no point on getting all riled up before we've confirmed all the facts.
Thank you, everyone. That makes a lot of sense. I guess I should always remember the trust that I've placed in which case, my lady, could you ask the Master to come out?
Sure thing. I also hope he'll be able to give us...
You...
Take it easy.
Thank you for coming, sir. Please allow me to introduce these two. This is the Traveler, and next to...
Ah, yes. My daughter has mentioned them from time to time. It's a privilege to finally meet, but we may skip all the pleasantries for now. What is the...
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction record to your attention. There's something on this record.
So, that's what you found? Huh. Seems like...
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an...
Well, it's a long and difficult story. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. What I do know, though, Dehya, is that the truth will bring you no solace. If anything...
Wait, me?
Yes. I understand perfectly why you came to see me. And I am touched by your collective commitment to do the right thing. But knowledge always comes at a price. And sometime, your father Kusela and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but I must warn you, the facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand, blowing in the wind. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heartfelt efforts will also fade into the wind like a fleeting mirage.
His heartfelt efforts. I'm sorry, I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my father's support. I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to cherish and fight for. None of these things have anything to do with him. I came here today to support you as the head of the Homayani family. No warning would...
I understand. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. Along the way, we were attacked. They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, a group of passerby Eremites lent. Those Eremites were Kusela's brigade, Dekan Al, Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. I was shocked. Why would Dekan Al-Ahmar go so far to save us and not... Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyazad. She was startled by his unfamiliar face and nearly started crying.
Really?
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on us because he had a daughter about the same age. We started talking about our children, and I sensed that to repay his kindness, I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time and offered everyone generous remuneration.
So, that's what...
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced to a shell.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He said there was absolutely nothing to worry about and that he had gotten into a fight. That was all. He then suddenly asked me if Dunyazad, now that she had grown, would need a bodyguard of her own. At the time, Dunyazad was going through a particularly severe bout of her Elazar. There was no need for her to have a bodyguard when she could barely leave the house. But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be... I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the Blazing Beasts. And in particular, a
So he was the one who recommended Dehya to you.
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's relics as an evil group who would eventually corrupt every member in their ranks. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able to detach his daughter from the vicious world of mercenary life. If Dehya could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually her affinity for the desert would decrease, and she'd be able to leave her previous life behind.
And that's why you offered her such generous compensation?
Yes, but not just because of that. From the moment that he asked me for that favor, I also began to see Dehya as my own daughter. And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission to leave. I was willing to spend however much it took. Kusela saved my daughter and I all those years ago in the desert. I could never refuse him entrusting his daughter to me.
He was always like that, acting like he's oh so smart and self-righteous.
Kusela said that he'd reimburse me for a portion of Dehya's fees. I refused to take any mora from him, but he'd always send me funds anyway. Eventually, I just accepted them as a token of his gratitude. And that went on for a while until I received a letter contained a request to help him buy food, weapons, medicine, and...
Wait! Isn't that around the time that Dekan Al-Ahmar's...
That's right. When I started to hear some nasty rumors, I became wary. But by then, he was no longer receptive to my requests to talk. If I had to guess, it's probably because he doesn't want to put Dehya at risk. That thought occurred to me as well. I figured that he probably came to me for help because he had nobody else to turn to. After some deliberation, I decided to send him some food and medicine. I turned down all his requests for explosives and weaponry. I am aware that even such a reduced gesture of support could lead to others coming to harm, but I could not simply reject his plea for help. In the end, it probably was the wrong decision. I plugged my ears to the rumors and just chose a solution that made me...
If you can, please tell me. None of the things he's doing right now make any sense if he's just trying to keep me from getting tangled up. If all he wants to do is steer clear of me, then maybe he shouldn't have brought me into this world in the first...
Oh no!
I'm just angry because I can't wrap my head around any of his actions. Another way? I don't know. I knew him, and he was nothing more than a childish brute. But I guess you do have a point. We haven't uncovered the whole truth yet. We still need to figure out his exact
I'll do my best to help. Of course, anything between the two of you would need to be resolved between you and him alone. I don't know Kusela's exact whereabouts. Outside of supplying his brigade with some goods, I tried my best to avoid getting involved any further with him. However, there's a man on the list named Jawed. He used to be a mercenary in the desert. He's responsible for supplying weapons and liaising with the Dakan al-Akhmar's I've heard that he likes to have a few drinks alone and enjoy the cool wind at night outside the tavern.
Understood. Thank you, sir. Then
I'll stay and be with my father here. To be honest, I'm still a little dazed. My father has indeed done something wrong, but if I think about it, I feel like our only course of action is to turn everything we...
Yes, I am. It's time to
Take it easy.
I know what you've been up to. Smuggling weapons to violent brigades in the desert while working for the Corps? Pretty bold, if you ask me.
Shh! Keep your voice down. How do you know all that? Come with me. We should take this elsewhere. I'll be happy to talk things over once we're somewhere. This place should do. All right. Back to...
Don't worry about that for now. You know what kind of punishment you'll face once we report you to the Corps, I assume.
Wait. There's no need to jump the gun. Let's talk this out. What are your terms?
So what's in it for you anyway, Mora?
Well, I was a little tight on money at the time, and Kusela took good care of me in the past. I weighed it in my mind, and I couldn't find a reason to turn the opportunity down. I wouldn't only be helping my benefactor, but I could also make some quick mora.
Let me tell you how it is. We're investigating Dakan al-Akhmar, and we're gonna put an end to their... If you provide some help for us, then we might just put in a good word later to reduce the terms of your punishment.
Hey, why don't we discuss this a little first? Listen, I made quite a bit of mora from my last run. You just give me a number, and I'm sure we can...
Shut it. My patience is running out. You should know when a mercenary is after something other than money.
All right, sheesh. But you gotta promise you'll put in some nice words for me later. They're always on the move. Here's the spot they were at the last time I made my delivery to the desert. Feel free to go have a look. I'm just telling you though, it's not on me if they're not there anymore.
Sure. And then you can forget about any nice words from us.
Hey, come on. Now you're just...
Really? And how do I know you're not leading us straight into a trap?
All right, I get it. Why don't you go take a look, and if they're not there anymore, I'll try to figure out something else for y'all.
Now that's more like it. Let's move. And as for you, try to stick around the city until we get back. You don't want us to call the folks from the Corps and have them drag you back to the city.
Don't worry.
Seems like we're in luck. That should be their camp right up ahead. Let's go. We'll finally get to the bottom of this ourselves. I'm here to see Kusela. Tell him to get out here.
Dehya, why are you here?
Haven't you all done enough?
Oh, so are you also here to stop us?
Stay out of this! It's got nothing to do with you! She's so strong!
Enough fighting. We all know each other, and I don't want to take things too far. Just bring Kusela to me. There's no use. Did you understand a single word I just said?
All right, everyone, let's all just calm down first. Dehya, the boss can't come out and see you anymore. He died.
What?
Seems like you've been out of the loop for a while. Guess that's for the best, though. At least, that's what the old man wanted.
When did he die?
A few years ago, Kusela broke up Dakan al-Ahmar and went to the Deshret's Relics headquarters by himself.
So is that when you guys started acting up?
We would prefer to call it taking revenge. Every last person in Deshret's Relics must pay in blood for what they did.
Let me start from the beginning. Dehya, do you know how the head of the Relics maintained order internally?
Overwhelming strength and unquestionable authority.
Those were a part of it, yes. But just those on their own weren't enough. They had another tool at their disposal. They called it, regardless of whether they joined by their own will or were coerced. Every person in Deshret's Relics were forced to leave a record of themselves at headquarters, whether it be their deepest sin, some unforgivable act, or their most immoral exploit. The record served both as a symbol of loyalty and the perfect material for blackmail. That's precisely it. Every one of us have a record. Me, Bashar, Tikriti, and all the boys who grew up with Dehya and ended up joining our ranks. But you, Dehya, you were never asked to provide a record, were you?
I never even knew this was a requirement.
You were probably the only person in all of Deshret's Relics who didn't know about it.
Ever since you were born, Boss had been trying to shield you from this organization's sinister... Not only that, but he also banned all of us from committing any nefarious acts. He said he'd take care of the dues we had to pay, but in the end, he was just an ordinary person. What could he do? He was forced to go to headquarters again and again to account for missed dues and incomplete records. He'd come up with all kinds of excuses and get beaten up as a result.
We all knew he was doing that for you. He wanted to get you out of this world, no matter what it took.
And that's why he became a shell of himself and couldn't walk.
Wait, but that doesn't make any sense. I didn't know about any of this, and I'd never seen him get injured.
Because you were too young at the time. How would you ever tell between wounds from a beating and wounds from battle? When you left home after that final argument with him, he seemed to age by a decade overnight. Even his hair went gray.
So, even the blazing beasts were...
Yep. It was all his doing. Had he not arranged them to come to you, you probably would have been reduced to a pulp before you ever left the desert.
A few years ago, Boss said he needed to make another trip to headquarters. He was already pretty weak then, and we all assumed he was going to get beaten again. I suggested that he hand the role of leadership over to me, but he said there was no longer any need, since the Khan al... His words made no sense to me. But that night, we heard that a massive fire tore through headquarters and
Everyone gained their freedom that night. Many members fled, not just from our ranks, but from the other brigades as well. But how could we leave with a clear conscience? All of us.
The boss can't have just died for nothing. Those heartless jerks at headquarters took him from us.
From that point on, the sole purpose of Khan al-Ahmar became revenge. The big fire that Boss started was quite a blow to headquarters' strength. It's given us the opportunity to launch our attack, even though we're outnumbered. We vowed to see our revenge through to the very end. There were people from headquarters who changed their names and went into hiding. Some fled to other brigades, and others escaped to the rainforest. But we won't let any of them escape our wrath. They'll all pay for what they've...
We've suffered plenty of losses as well. To keep going, we need an enormous amount. All we can do is exchange our loot from Mora, and then use that to get supplies. We forged Boss's handwriting and sent out many letters to his former friends. Thankfully, many people were willing to come to our aid. We were also able to attract many mercenaries who shared our goal. We've endured unspeakable pain. Deshret's relics have become weaker and weaker, and now we finally have an opportunity to directly strike their headquarters.
Paimon doesn't know what to say anymore.
We do know right from wrong, but we were sinners from the very beginning. We do not deserve the freedom that the boss won for us with his life. Boss always loved his old-fashioned hero stories. Those tales about sacrificing yourself to save the world, we used to always laugh at him for it. But in the end, he really... As for me, I never considered myself a hero. We're all the lowest of the low. We have no right, but maybe those hero stories he liked foreshadowed everything that was to come. The spirit of the hero touched all those he had saved, and more people joined his cause. Maybe we were all just acting along with the play in the beginning. But as we acted the parts and recited the lines, we were drawn in. I'm sorry, Dehya. I know you always found us insufferable ever since you were young. Just think of this as a madman ranting.
I'll go with you.
Huh? Dehya?
I grew up with these guys, and I know they're not bad people. It's just that some situations get so bad. All I know is that Deshret's relics... Furthermore, I want to go see the place for myself. I want to know if... I know you don't want to get involved in this, so there's no need for you to tag along. I can do this on my...
Yeah. Paimon feels like we'd only...
Thank you.
I bet Boss would lose his mind if he ever knew you'd join us.
Considering all the losses and injuries we sustained, we can't afford to turn down someone as powerful as...
He can think whatever he wants, but the fact is...
much trouble on the way here. Wow. Paimon didn't expect...
They should all be holed up in here. Don't know how many people they've got.
Who cares?
Still, we should be careful. Even if they've only got one shot left, it could still take us out.
Yeah, we'll know what they're really capable of once we've landed. Deshret's relics may have been a force to be reckoned with before, but their name means nothing.
Yeah, they don't stand a chance with you here.
That's heavy enough.
Flies.
You are not welcome here.
Gotcha.
Following orders. New punch.
Busted. One with nature. Don't waste my time. Buckle up. Into the wind. Quietly now.
Feeling lucky today.
Gotcha. Game's up. I'm so sick of this alive.
This way, follow me. We're almost there.
Wait! They went charging ahead without checking for any trap!
Hey, you guys okay?
It seems like we just got trapped in here. Don't think we...
Watch out, the enemy's coming from ahead.
Well, now that things have come to this, seems we'll have to fight our way through.
Don't worry about us. We knew something like this could happen. Let's go! We can't let the boss down!
Let's check if there's another way! The sooner we can make...
Let's see. I think I see a way through over there, but it's being blocked by...
Okay,
Take it easy. Quietly now.
Another mechanism like the one before, but this one's being blocked off in the middle.
We just need to adjust it a little.
Take it easy. Take it easy. Buckle up!
Time to go!
Huh? Let's get it on! Ha! Gloves off! Huh! Cha!
Take it easy.
I wasn't expecting anyone to make it through from the others, but as a desert dweller, I suppose we should be used to—
Don't waste your breath. You have no—
Run. Had I wanted to run, I witnessed the golden age of Deshret's relics. Even if I could leave this place behind, all that awaits me now, even now, my brothers and I still— the greatest should never live to remember.
So you want to go out in a blaze of glory.
Let us draw our— They are but two, while we— Wave one! Charge! Eliminate them!
Busted.
You don't think that you won. We're just getting started. King Deshret will not abandon any one of his followers.
Fun's over. Quietly now.
Brothers! This is where we put our faith.
You all just want to die?
None of us plan to leave this place alive!
The commander has finally fallen.
But they're still coming at us! This place is like a gladiator's ring. They just keep coming no matter how many we—
Yes! Keep fighting!
When the next wave comes, try to draw away their attacks. I'm going to see if I can take out that high platform.
Get out of my way!
Come and face me, Michel! Ugh, so they've broken through the front as well.
Apologies, Lord Michal. They just...
So, it would seem like this—
Time to pay for everything you've done, Michel.
You think I would— I will be buried in the sand!
Hey, wait!
We were too late.
It's over. There's no more. But if you're still going to cling on to your so-called mercenary's pride, then I'll give you...
Hey, Dehya! I found the mechanism. I'll get you all back up here right away.
Let's go.
Who are you filthy rats? And why are you always pestering us?
You call yourself a member of the infamous Deshret's relics, and you still can't even tell who's made it all the way to your headquarters?
Who knows what intent a bunch of rats may have? We try to catch a couple, and you all just show up on the other side instead. Hey, have you ever heard of a man by the name of Kusela? Why would I know? It's not like I'm in charge or—
This is your last chance.
Hey, I said I don't know anything. I'm just an average member here.
I'm telling that if you're here to find someone, why don't you look through the records yourselves? Who can remember every name and face with so many people coming in and...
The irony. His life became a light for so many, yet to others. Where's the records room?
It's right over there. All the files are in there.
I mean the old...
The old records room? You mean Kusela? Ah, yeah, I remember him now. Watch your mouth. That's our boss you're talking about. He was definitely faking it. We all let our guard down as soon as we saw him come hobbling in. But in the short time it supposedly took him to take a dump, he'd already gotten away. And he couldn't have possibly outrun us. And after that, Deshret's
Stop wasting our time. Every one of us here is perfectly aware of... Tell me, where is the...
It's just over there. Go see it for yourself if it... There's nothing left in the... Bashar, Tikriti, let's go. We'll leave the other... Spare them no...
So, this was his final destination. How did he do it? Getting past all the guards? If he was nimble enough to do that, then he must have been able to get out of here after starting the fire, right?
Dehya.
I'm sorry. I know it's just wishful thinking. Let's...
Is this a cane? It must be the one...
Kusela.
Thanks for everything, boss.
We're fortunate to somehow find that cane after that fire.
Let's split up and look around some more.
But what else could survive a fire like that?
Huh? Thought so.
Wait! Isn't that the toy sword you played with as a child?
The dragon is no more, for Princess Dehya has slain it. Its head now hangs above the city gates. Her bravery has brought eternal peace and prosperity to us all. Dehya, come on. This is the most important line.
You can do it.
But Dehya, you defeated the dragon. Everyone's waiting for your speech. Still too shy, huh? All right, I'll do it. I hereby proclaim our victory. Evil shall plague us no more.
I hereby proclaim our victory. Evil shall plague us no more, Dad. What's this?
Don't you remember? You asked Paimon what she would do if she were to wake up tomorrow with loads of money. And Paimon said that she would get boatloads of taste. These opportunities don't come by often. So today, Paimon's gonna treat you to a special crash course. Hey, come on! Paimon's not that stingy. Anyway, the point is that you should eat to your heart's content. You'll feel better for sure once you've gotten something in your tummy. Dunyarzad will also be here shortly.
Aw, thanks, you two. Honestly, this is very unlike me. I just had a lot of... My chest was filled with all kinds of intense emotions. They just shook me even more than all the feelings we've shared during our previous adventures. But when everything came to an end, those emotions also vanished without it. It was as if I'd lost the thing that was most important to me. Yeah, you're right. To many mercenaries, Mora is the most important thing in the world. But perhaps to Idrisi and the others all used to say that they would quit if there was no Mora to be had. But when it came to avenging my father, there was no Mora to be made anywhere. My reality shattered when I found out that the father who always told me hero stories was in fact a bad guy. But look at me now. Despite all my promises about never forgiving him and never trying to understand him, I still went to such lengths to find out the truth. And we're hypocrites. All of us. Yeah, you're right. It's just a pity that we often only recognize our true feelings after it's already too late.
You're back! Are all of you all right?
Ah, there she is.
Yeah. Many people from the Corps of 30 came over, and I just wrapped up everything with my dad. Huh? Dehya?
Paimon will explain.
I'm sorry. I really should have controlled my emotions better.
It's all right, my lady. You were hurt by all of this as well. Truth be told, I'm starting to feel a little guilty watching you cry.
But Dehya, your pain must be even worse.
Hey, don't worry about me. If anything, this whole thing has finally shown me the difference between illusion and reality. My father probably thought that people could settle into new lives as long as they moved to a new environment. That thought has even crossed my mind a few times. It's like saying, what's wrong with adapting to a new life? However, there was always something deep within my mind that refused to accept it. This impulse brought me great turmoil, and even made me feel ashamed for But now that I consider it again, it all makes sense. The desert sands are a part of who I am, and I will never—
I understand how you feel.
That doesn't mean I won't be making any changes to my life, though. As an example, I'm now thinking about taking on some small odd jobs. It's just like Idrisi said. I also want to catch up to my father and become a character in his play, even if the ending of the story may be childish and ridiculous.
Isn't that neat, though? Oh, you'll be a whole new kind of mercenary, one that's not out for Mora. Why don't we go for a change of scenery once we finish eating? What about stopping by the Grand Bazaar again?
Right. You said you wanted to get a rug.
We'll come along too.
I can't thank you enough for taking care of me this entire—
Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy.
Oh, this rug here is quite something.
Ah, here you are. Finally, I found you.
Hey! Aren't you that mercenary who bit his tongue? Wait, are you here to take
What are you talking about? Do I look like I could take you all to a fight? I just came here to give you something. I'll be on my way to give myself up to the core acid. Once I woke up, I hurried to the Khan al-Ahmar, but when I got there, I found no one except the members who were still too injured.
Ah, so you probably got there—
Yeah, they told me that they had exacted their revenge, and everyone had turned themselves in to the authorities. Even that last camp was not going to last for much longer. I had joined the cause to repay an old favor from Kusela. Now that everyone's already turned themselves in, I might as well do the same. One of the injured members gave this box to me, and told me that it contained some of the old man's last possessions. Everything left in the camp will get confiscated, so I figured I should get this to you before the court—
Thank you.
No worries. We are all just living our own truths. There's no need to comment.